Hey, it's your boy DJ Wolf here. I gotta talk about an incredible story that I never heard about. That's really very much a part of Black history. It's rare that you hear about a story about someone has been an incredible first in Black history that you never knew about. It's funny how things work in this society, in this country, in this world where we've had so many incredible Black firsts from people you never heard of. I mean, never, ever heard of. And what amazes me about it is that the fact that this guy is so talented, so incredibly talented, and he went through all the ups and downs in his career and in his personal life, and somehow still seemed to come back up on top. Who is that guy, you might ask? I'm pretty sure it's probably someone you never heard of. And I heard the name before, but I just happened to watch a documentary on it on Netflix. He is none other than a guy who really, from the 1950s on up, helped shape the face of the modern studio, also known as Walt Disney Studios. The guy I'm talking about is none other than Black pioneer, animator, artist, story writer, and comic creator or comic book artist, Floyd Norman. Yes, Floyd Norman. He was born in 1935, and he's currently 82 right now. He worked on a number of notable Disney and other films. Sleeping Beauty. Now, let me tell you a quick story about Sleeping Beauty. I heard about a Black guy working on Sleeping Beauty many years ago. Well, a number of years ago. I didn't know it was him. But apparently, he was the first Black animator to ever work for a major studio. But I think he's more like the first Black animator to ever work for Disney. I don't know if there were other Black animators prior to Norman or not. But he was a major. He was the first Black major animator for a major studio that I know of. This is the stuff that he worked on. Sleeping Beauty, The Sword and Stone, Jungle Book, Mary Poppins, 101 Dalmatians, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., and Mickey Mouse comic strip. He is a writer and an artist as well. Okay. And he's won a number of awards. He actually has worked with Disney himself. He started out as an animator for Disney around 1954. Prior to that, he was working for as an assistant to a comic book called Katie King, under artist Bill Wagen, who actually worked on Archie comic strips. He actually started out with Disney as an in-betweener. I guess he was somebody who did who filled in the animation parts for the movies. And Sleeping Beauty, he said he worked on. I just got finished watching the documentary on him. He said that they worked on Sleeping Beauty for almost 5 years. I was like, wow, because there was so much interest. You know what I mean? Interest. In other words, there was a lot of detailing they had to do. So he was the first African American artist to remain in studio on a long-term basis, but they forced him to retire at 65, and then a number of years later came back and they rehired him. But they said eventually he was drafted in the Army after he finished working on Sleeping Beauty. He returned back to the studios in 1960 to work on 101 Dalmatians and Sword in the Stone in 1963. This is all coming from Wikipedia, by the way. After Disney saw some of the inner office sketches Norman made to entertain his co-workers, he was reassigned to the story department, where he worked with Larry Clements on the story of the legendary film The Jungle Book. After Disney's death in 1966, Norman left Disney Studios to co-found Vinjet Films with business partner and fellow animator, director Leo Sullivan. Vinjet Films produced 6 animated films. It was one of the first companies to produce black films on the subject of black history. I actually, as a kid, remember seeing some of those films. Norman and Sullivan had worked together on various projects, including segments for Sesame Street and the original. And I didn't know about this either. I'm actually trying to look up to see if I could get a copy of this. Because Fat Albert, I thought a Christmas special was the original special. The Christmas special, I think, came out the following year. And I thought that was the actual first Fat Albert television special came out. It wasn't. The first Fat Albert television special was called Hey Hey, It's Fat Albert, which aired in 1969 on NBC. In 1972, Filmation had took it upon them, along with Bill Cosby, to do a Saturday morning kid version of the show, and got the green light, and was produced for CBS. In 1999, Norman and Sullivan created a multicultural internet site called AfroKids.com to present a variety of African American images to children. Prior to that, he returned to Disney at one point in the early 70s to work on the Disney animated feature Robin Hood, which he eventually said he got fired on. And Bedknob and Broomsticks, which I remember watching as well as a kid, he also worked on that. And he worked on several animated television programs, Hanna-Barbera and Ruby Spears. I'm trying to remember. I know he said he worked on Scooby-Doo. He worked on the not the old Flintstones, but he worked on the latter Flintstones. They did the post which I call the 70s versions of the Flintstones, which he did work on. He did say that he worked for Ruby Spear Productions as well. He didn't. I don't remember him naming off all the shows. I know he said he worked on Smurfs. And he worked on Harry Berry Bunch, which was 2 of my favorite shows at the time. But he worked on a number. He named them off. There was so many names I couldn't even remember them all. So he did do a lot of journeyman work for a lot of the big name studios. It was a big deal. In the 80s, he worked as a writer in the comic strip department at Disney and was the last scripter for the Mickey Mouse comic strip before it was discontinued. He has worked on motion pictures for Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar later on. Contributed creatively as a story artist for films as Toy Story 2 and Monsters, Inc. for Pixar, and Mulan, Dinosaur, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame for Walt Disney Animation Studios, among others, including Reel's FX Freebirds. I haven't seen that. I heard about it. Let me look that up right quick. I saw something about that. I've never actually seen that. Okay. I'm gonna have to pull it up. I don't actually remember seeing that. I definitely gotta pull it up. All right. So he's also published several books of cartoons inspired by his lifetime of experience, including that in the animation industry. Faster, Cheaper, the flip side of the art of animation. I have to look that up. Son of Faster, Cheaper, a sharp look inside the animation business and how the Grinch stole Disney. Disc drive animated humor and the digital age and suspended animation, the art form that refuses to die. He also wrote he has authorized a semi-biographical animated premiere titled Animated a lifetime of tips, tricks, techniques, and stories from an animated legend, Animated Masters, which was also published by Focal Press in 2013. He is the subject of the movie I just saw, the documentary called Floyd Norman, An Animated Life. I highly recommend it. I mean, it was very. I wish I had got to know a little bit more about Floyd Norman when I was growing up. There was a friend of mine named Edward Foster, and this was circa 1974 1975. And I kid you not, Floyd Norman reminded me a lot of Edward Foster. Edward Foster was like one of the if there was anybody you could say was the top artist in our class, of any class we did, he was the guy. And he was probably about, I think we were about like same age, 10, 11 years old. Could draw his ass off. He probably could have hired by Disney on the spot. There's no doubt. This guy was good. I don't think in my entire childhood, I knew if anybody could draw better than Edward. I can't think of 3 people. You know, and I wanted to do that myself. But God, I wish I knew about Floyd Norman, man, back then. But he is an inspiration. But I highly recommend this film. If there was a reason to get into something that you love doing, because this guy is still doing it. You know, Disney had actually eventually rehired him because he loved doing what he did. You know, it was his lifehood passion to do what he was doing, and it's a very inspiring story. He never gave up. He just kept going, kept going, kept going. Wow, it's crazy. Recently, in 2016, he was appointed to the Education and Outreach Committee of the the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences. That's a big deal. Wow. He was named a Disney legend in 2007. I guess he had been well known at a Comic-Con conventions in San Diego. Wow. 2015, he received a Fritz Freeling, who was another famous animator from Warner Brothers, award for Lifetime Achievement for Excellence in Animation from the International Family Film Festival. Wow. I mean, if you guys don't know about Floyd Norman, man, you need to know. I mean, you need to know. Yeah, it's amazing. He has a really good body of work in both working on film and television. I didn't know he worked on Skyhawks. Wow, Hot Wheels. He worked on some of my favorite shows, man. Yeah, he did mention Josie and the Pussycats. Skyhawks, Hot Wheels, Josie and the Pussycats. This is for y'all old heads. C-Lab 2020, Goober and the Ghost Chasers, Willie and Chopper Bunch. I know he said he worked on Scooby-Doo, Jabberjaw. He worked on the Muhammad Ali show, Laugh Olympics, Scooby-Doo's, Yogi Space Race, Godzilla, Quickie Koala. I never watched that. It's too kiddie for me. Smurfs, Super Friends, Pac-Man, Alvin and Chipmunk. Boy, he worked on a lot of stuff. Beverly Hills Teen, I never saw that. Garfield and Friends. Yeah, they mentioned that on there. Courage got, boy, he worked on stuff. Wow. And he even worked on recently as Robot Chicken. Wow, I'll be damn. That's crazy. This guy was a beast, man. I'm just blown away. And he influenced such animators as John Lasseter, who actually worked for Pixar, and Tom Sisto. I forgot who he worked for, but I have to look that up. Wow. This guy went from the old style animation 1950s as a young kid. He wasn't even 21 when he started working for Disney. To now working in his age, working for people like Disney Digital Animation and Pixar. This guy is a legend. One of the things that they were talking about in the documentary was the fact that he didn't get the higher success that he should have gotten. Disney forced him to retire at the age of 65. There was another animator who was a legendary Disney animator who started out way back, who was in his 90s still working there till he died. And they retired Mr. Floyd Norman, at 65. He was still a young guy, basically. And really, at this point, he should have been a director. They were showing scenes where a lot of big name animators, young animators, mostly white, and actually came up in the ranks of the business, where he got left behind, not on his own free will, but because the fact the studios really didn't want a black man to be heading anything in Disney. No way. That's another issue. But a lot of those people, many of those people are animators who learned under his tutelage, were really grateful and appreciative of what he was able to do for them. I'll give him that. But it was an incredible story. Incredible learning experience. I mean, I enjoyed every minute of this storyboard. I enjoyed everything about it. I really did. Floyd Norman. Truly a legend. And it should inspire you. If it's something that you have, and that's why I talked about in the earlier podcast a while back, if there's a talent that you have, you know, and you know you have it, and your kids have that unique thing that they know how to do as far as the talents, try to help them horn in on it. You know, you never know what they may become. Disney had always inspired him as a child. That was the reason he eventually ended up working for Disney. He was inspired by it. It was his passion. Don't give up on your kids' dreams, man. If they want to dream to do something they love doing, let them dream. Let them think big. You know? Get behind whatever they want to, learn to do. You never know what they what may become of it. You know. A film that I definitely recommend. But definitely on Netflix, look it up. Floyd Norman, An Animated Life is currently on Netflix right now. I highly recommend it. Just wanted to give you something to chew on because it inspired me to a point I sat there and watched the entire thing. I usually don't watch movies like that, the whole hour, 2 hours, whatever. Actually, not a lot of movies I sit there and watch on Netflix all day. Watch it for a minute and stop it. But it was good to watch. I enjoyed it. And I highly recommend it. Okay, guys. This is DJ Wolf. That's all I got for right now. Of course, questions or comments about Mr. Floyd Norman. If you have any information you want to share about that, let me know. I'd love to discuss it with you. If you're an animator who actually has worked with Floyd Norman, or if you're Mr. Norman himself, I'd love to interview you. Let me know. DJWolfLive@AOL.com, DJWolfLive@gmail.com, and DJ Wolf Live on Facebook. This is DJ Wolf. I got more to say about other stuff on the back burner as well. I'll talk to you later. I'm out.